My name is Erica Marie Morris, and you are listening to the Candle Business Podcast, where we talk all things about starting, running, and growing a successful candle business. From marketing to mental health, I cover a wide range of real-life topics that involve the crazy and wonderful ups and downs that is being a small business owner. Wow, we are on episode 17 of the Candle Business Podcast. I'm so happy that you are joining me here today. I did want to let you know, for some reason, my nose is like a little congested right now. So if you hear it in my voice, I may have to take some more pauses more than usual today. I think it's really just the weather changes because right now, the springtime, I feel like always kind of brings up a lot of, pollen and wind and all that kind of stuff. So it's been on and off windy, back and forth between kind of colder and then it's been kind of hot now. So it's been back and forth all the time. So I apologize if you hear that in my voice. But today's video, I'm so used to video. Today's podcast episode, we are going to be talking about the top 3 reasons on why you aren't making any sales in your candle business. And if you're somebody who has not yet launched your candle business, maybe this episode will help you as you are getting started towards actually selling your product. But if you're still in the stages of getting towards launching your business and you have not yet, I do have a free download that is a candle business launch checklist. If you go to ericamariemorris.com/checklist, you can just put in your email. It signs you up for the email list. I send out maybe 1 or 2 emails a month, just helpful information, but you'll also get that checklist right to your inbox. And it really just helps you out as you are getting started with your candle business journey. Today's topic is really just going to be to try to help you audit your own candle business. So I want you to be able to objectively look at your candle business as a whole, your branding, your website, your social media, all these different things that come into play. And I want you to be able to really look at your business from an objective standpoint and see if there's things that you can improve upon. Because if you've been asking yourself, why am I not making any sales? I spent all this time creating these candles, learning how to make these candles, and now I'm wanting to sell them and nobody's buying them. I don't understand why. So today's episode, I really hope that it kind of gives you maybe some things to look at with your business, so specific things, and how to actually go about changing them so that you have maybe a higher chances of actually selling your product, which is the goal, obviously, for any business. So let's take a look at the first point. Now, this is something that I have brought up many times in my videos in the past, and I do think that this is kind of the overarching theme that I see with a lot of people that are having trouble selling their products, and that is your product photography. Now, I know that this can be really subjective, but there are some things when it comes to product photography that is kind of a very black and white in terms of that there are things that you should be focusing on doing and not doing when you are taking your product photos. And something that I always want you to do when you are trying to change things in your business or improve upon things is I want you to really be realistic with yourself. And that's something that you may see as a theme when I talk about these things in my videos and my podcast episodes, is that I want you to be completely honest with yourself, because we cannot do everything in our business. We cannot be professionals and excellent and, have all these crazy skills that are 100% perfect in all areas of our business. So there are going to be things that you are going to need to outsource. And I feel like product photography is one of those things for the majority of people. Now, yes, you can work on building up the skill. I am definitely somebody who has worked on building up the skill, but it has taken years and years to get to that point. And it was a lot of trial and error in the beginning. I took a lot of pictures and did a lot of editing that I look back now and I think to myself, why did I do that? Why did I edit it like that? Why was I taking pictures like that? So there's things that you learn as you are actually taking product photos yourself, that you realize that this is such an important part of your business, because this is representing your business. So if you are just, putting your products somewhere in your house, take a picture with your phone, and then just put it up on your website, it's not going to showcase the actual beauty of your product. So what I recommend is two things with this. First and foremost is if you are wanting to go the route of learning yourself and learning product photography, I want you to really take the time to educate yourself, look up YouTube videos, go onto Replica Surfaces. They have a ton of free tips and I learned a lot from them. And really the main thing when it comes to product photos is the lighting and the editing. Of course, there's other things that come into play with it, but really those are the two main things that you don't want to compromise on. You are able to take pretty good photos with just a regular like smartphone. You don't have to get a fancy camera or anything. But if you are wanting to have photos that look really, really nice, that are going to stand out amongst the rest, you may want to invest in a nicer photography camera. So for instance, the camera that I use is a Canon M50. It is a mirrorless camera and I use a 50 millimeter lens to take all of my product photos. Now that lens, I believe, is only like, I think less than $100 or something. It's really not that expensive. So you could get the body of the camera and not even get like the full new camera with the kit lens, because honestly, the lens that comes with most DSLR cameras or higher, nicer, bigger cameras that you see, photography cameras, it's not really that good. And that was my mistake in the beginning, was thinking that if I bought a nice expensive camera, then it would just be perfect and every photo that I took was going to be perfect. And that was not the case at all. So really you could just buy the body of the camera itself and then purchase a nicer lens, photography lens, to go onto it. And the 50 millimeter lens is perfect. Honestly, I bought a macro lens. It was, I want to say, $1,100. I don't know. It was quite expensive. It was a very expensive lens. And I did take some photos with it, but I realized that when I take product photography now, I just use my 50 millimeter lens and it's almost identical to the photos that I get with my macro lens. And I realized I didn't really need to get that. And I think that's the thought process with a lot of things in life, is we think that we need to invest in the best equipment before we've actually gained any skills whatsoever, thinking that it's going to be the equipment that's going to make these skills like pop up. And that's not the case at all. There are so many photographers that could take better pictures than I could with just a regular phone, than I could with like the craziest, like, $5,000 camera or whatever that there is. So it really is kind of a mix of skill, lighting, the settings that you set your camera to. There's manual settings and all that kind of stuff. But it really is just learning little by little and educating yourself, watching videos, and taking the time to really learn what you need to do in order to take these pictures with the best lighting, the best setting, and also to be able to edit them in the best way that you can to really showcase the product. So you're not overexposing or underexposing, or having it look, too dark, or whatever it is that you're looking for with the overall theme of your photos. And again, this will take time of just going through, and I do so many different adjustments and setting adjustments and lighting adjustments. I do a mixture of the natural lighting outside, and then I also have my studio lights that I will put on the products as well. And this is just going to take some time and trial and error. And I have worked really, really hard to try to figure out ways that I can make my product photography look much better. And because I live in a very plain, not so pretty apartment, I have chosen to invest in replica surfaces in order to have my photos look much better than they would if I was trying to use any other background in my apartment. Yes, replica surfaces is expensive. I have probably 15 boards, everything I paid for with my own money. I am an affiliate with them, but I've paid for all the boards myself, and they do deals and all that kind of stuff that I'll take advantage of. But I think it's worth it, because if you are really, really wanting to do well in your business, product photography is the number one thing I want you to look at. If there's nothing else from this episode, that is going to be the number one thing. And even if you have to ask friends and family, or even go on to Etsy or Instagram of other candle makers, product photography, their Instagram feeds, I want you to look and see what catches your eye. If you put your photo against all these other photos, would it catch your eye? Would it stand out? And would you want to actually purchase your own product? Now, if you're not wanting to go the route of learning, purchasing the supplies, and gaining the skill of taking your own product photos, something else that you may want to consider that I would really recommend for you to do is to reach out to a local product photographer in your area. Local, because it's going to be so much easier to drop off your products at somebody's house than it is going to be to ship them off. I've looked into hiring somebody on Fiverr to take product photos, but man, it is so expensive. And you can find somebody in your local area, even if it's just somebody starting out. I reached out to my local Facebook group. I posted photos of my products and I said, hey, I'm looking for somebody to take lifestyle photos. I wanted a different look. I wanted something away from the replica surface boards, and I wanted somebody to be able to use their creativity and their space to take pictures of my products and just have a different look to the way that I take pictures, because I found that yes, I can take pretty decent pictures of my products, but I'm not super creative with it. I'm kind of end up taking the same kind of pictures with all of my products. So I really wanted just another creative mind to be looking at my products and to kind of use their creativity and their skills. And it is not that much money. It's really not a lot compared to how much you would invest into buying photo equipment and all that kind of stuff, especially if you're working with, a local photographer, and you can kind of talk about pricing, figure out what your budget's going to be, whether it's 100, 200, 300, 400, whatever it is. Like, you have to decide how much money you want to invest into your product photos and how many photos you want to get, and, see their other work that they've done. I even had somebody offer to do it for free in exchange for them building up their product photography portfolio, because that was something that they really wanted to get into. I did end up tipping them for their time. It wasn't like completely free. I also have them keep the products as well, because I turn all of the product photos into mock-ups, so I'm able to Photoshop on different scent labels onto it, and I don't have much need for partially burned candles, so that's also something they get to keep and they're excited about as well. Also something they get to keep and excited about as well. But this is just maybe an avenue that you may want to go down, and I would not skimp. I would not I don't know, is that the word? I would not basically go cheap on this. So I would look into the most you can invest into this portion of it, because again, this is going to be the first impression of your brand to any potential customer that is coming across your brand. And this is going to be the most important part to get that first initial sale, that first initial good first impression to potential customers. Now let's move on to the second reason why you aren't making any sales. And this is, you may be desperate for a sale. Now, I know this may be a touchy topic. I know there's a lot of people that are starting their candle businesses for all different reasons, but I promise that the worst way to go about marketing and trying to sell your products is doing it in a desperate way. If you are focusing so much on, I need to make money, I just need to sell a candle, rather than focusing on building up brand awareness, building an audience, focusing on your brand story, and focusing on that side of things, which inevitably leads to sales, then you are selling the wrong way. If you're focusing just on, I just need to make a sale, I just need to sell this candle. And I know it can be really frustrating in the beginning. Again, we put a lot of time and effort into our products, and it's really frustrating when people aren't wanting to buy it. And maybe there's, obviously so many different things that come into play on the reasons on why people aren't wanting to buy it. Maybe the reason is that people just don't know about you. So you're just not focusing enough on the right kind of marketing to build up your audience. But it can take some time. It can take some time of just creating a ton of content and posting it every day on social media. I would recommend Instagram or TikTok, and just being consistent with it. If you are focusing so much on just posting, just random pictures of your product and being like, please buy, link in bio, or only $12, buy now, whatever it is, like this is not the way to psychologically encourage or promote somebody to want to purchase from you. Again, when you are creating a candle business, and this is a whole nother topic I really want to make an episode on, but when you're creating a candle business, you are building a brand, not just selling a candle. And there's so much more that goes into that. There's a message and a story and a reason and a person behind these candles and the story and your scents that you chose. And there's so many different things that you can utilize to sell without selling. And if you're curious on how to market with little time and little money, I do have another podcast episode that I will either link in the show notes or also in the YouTube video if you're watching on YouTube. And that may help you start to think about things a little bit differently, because I know that it can be frustrating saying, okay, but I want to sell my products and I don't know how to actually do it. I spent all the time learning how to make candles, creating the labels. I worked on product photography, or I hired somebody to do it. I have my website and nobody's coming to my website and nobody's buying my candles, and it's frustrating. And I totally 100% understand that. But if you just take a moment and realize that you need to be patient with this and come at it from a different angle, then you are going to be very surprised with making sales versus just trying to just sell candles to whoever possibly would order from you. And that actually leads me into my third point of today's episode, and that is that you may be waiting around for sales to come to you, or you may have no marketing plan. And again, watch my other videos or episodes where I talk about marketing and storytelling, because you may have a different viewpoint on what marketing actually is. So in order to start making sales in your business, you really do have to determine where you want those sales to come from, and then you have to figure out a marketing plan. And if you're not taking any action and you're just kind of waiting around for sales to come, then nothing's ever going to happen. If you think that creating an Etsy shop is good enough and that's all you have to do, or creating a website and that's good enough, that's all you have to do, you're posting, couple times a week on Instagram, and why is nobody buying your product? Again, I understand that it's like a full-time thing. Like, it's a lot of work that goes into it, but it's worth it, because once you start building up that brand awareness, your audience, there are so many things that you can do to start gaining traction in your business. And we're so lucky to have social media, because before that, it was all about, if you could afford, obviously, like TV ads, not the, average small business could do TV ads, but word of mouth was everything, ads in the newspaper, all these things that, used to be the way of marketing is completely different now. And it's both a good thing and a bad thing, in the sense of, there's a lot of people out there trying to do the same thing, but you have the ability to do it in your own unique way and really stand out, because you are what is unique about your business. So the main thing is that you have to start taking action on your marketing plan. You have to create a plan and then figure out what you need to actually be doing in order to get your sales, in order to start getting sales coming in, and not feeling so desperate for any sale to start coming in. Because a lot of times when we start feeling desperate, it can really, it can put such a damper on, us as small business owners. And I know that everybody is in a different situation, but I promise that, the way that you go about marketing is going to determine on whether or not you are actually going to be getting any sales coming in. And when you don't have a plan and you aren't taking any action and you're waiting around for sales to come to you, because let's say you start on Etsy and you're like, well, I mean, there's people on there and, I get a couple views, but they're not buying. Like, there's a ratio. I think it's like maybe 5 to 10% conversion rate. I don't know if that's correct. Maybe it's 1%. I can't remember exactly what it is, but you have to get a lot of views to the amount of people that actually convert to a paying customer. And of course, there's more things that go into this. You have to make sure that you are professional. You have a professional looking website. You have professional looking labels. You have a very clean, clear cut picture of what your brand message, theme, vibe, whatever it is that you want to call it, on your Instagram page, and make sure that your packaging and your brand story and all that is just very cohesive together and works well together, that really showcases you and your product. Because the way that marketing is nowadays is you can market without even realizing that you're marketing. If you're showing yourself making your candles and posting it as a reel, that's a form of marketing. If you're telling a story about, how you drove 2 hours to purchase your supplies and you talk about your experience of smelling all the candle scents and all that kind of stuff, and then you get home, that is a form of marketing. There's so much behind the scenes stuff that you can showcase with your business that is going to be you taking action instead of just waiting around for sales to come to you. Creating email lists and making sure that you are instead of just waiting around for sales to come to you. And of course, there are so many different ways that you can market. And again, I do have that in a previous episode where I go more into that. And maybe I could also go more into actually creating a marketing plan and how to go about doing that based on what your goals are. Because it really is based on what your goals are, because it really varies depending on what your ultimate goal is with your candle business. It depends on, and I really do want to make a separate episode talking about how to create a marketing plan, because it really does depend on what your ultimate goal is with your candle business. Depends on what route you want to take with marketing and how to go about taking action on that, because this has been something that, I feel like we've all been there. I've been there with Fair specifically, of being like, okay, like, can't wait for another order to come in, when really we need to be taking action on getting our own customers to the platform. Same thing with our retail website as well. I feel like most business owners have been there before, where you get so kind of caught up in the day-to-day, operations of your business, that sometimes the marketing kind of falls on the back end. And then you think to yourself, man, I really need to be taking action on, my marketing plan and making sure that I'm still focused on that and getting these customers coming in. But I think that is all that I wanted to talk about in today's episode. I hope that this gave you a little bit of perspective on how to look at your own business, audit your own business, and see if you're doing any of these things. If you're feeling like your product photography is not up to par, if you feel like you're desperate for sales and you're focusing too much on trying to just sell a candle rather than building up your brand, and if you also feel like you may just be waiting around for sales to come to you and you're not taking any action, I really hope that looking at this from an objective standpoint can help you make some behavioral changes. Because as much as marketing is customer behavior and, trying to get them to convert to sales, it's as much as trying to get them to convert to sales, it's also kind of auditing our own behavior as business owners. What are we doing that's going to encourage and try to promote our products in the best way? And what is something that we can change that is going to, lead to more success in our business? But with that, I am going to end today's episode right here. If you enjoyed today's episode, please make sure to rate this episode if you're watching on Spotify or listening on Spotify. I'm so used to saying watching. And then also give this video a thumbs up if you are watching on YouTube. But with that, I will see you in my next episode.